What's up, everybody? I'm Scott.
And I'm Jason.
And you are listening to Liquid Carnage. Back after a week off. They don't happen very often.
Hey, I want to thank everyone, though, who was patient with us and listened to They Did What on their first date. You guys held in there. It was a long time ago episode, but I'm glad we brought it back. It seemed like it didn't miss too much of a beat, so I was happy about that.
Well, that's good. I didn't know what you were going to do, and quite frankly, I didn't ask. I know I should have. I was preoccupied with some work stuff last week, but as long as you tell me it went well and the people liked it, Tom even gave us the notes. I have still yet to read them, but I'm sure I read them originally after the original air date.
Yes. I mean, it was pretty much, but like I said, it was in season 1. We recorded that.
Wow.
Or maybe it was season 2. It might have been season 2, but it was a long time ago.
We were still developing our voices back then.
Yes, back then we were still developing our voices. So,
wow.
Anyways, but but it's glad to be back to normal. You're done with all your work stuff. I got back from my vacation.
Yes, monsoon season is in full effect. And in case you're listening in an area where there's dry heat, which we are normally, I missed it already. We have not had a monsoon in years, so maybe I have forgotten what humidity is like to this extent. But fat kids like myself should not be in humidity to this level a lot because I hate being this sweaty. I'm over
it. Yeah, we were in Idaho, and in Idaho it was 97 and humidity. It was brutal. And then we come home and it's in humidity. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
I tell you what, man, this past weekend, my job we had our first fundraiser in a year and a half outside at the golf course. And all week, I've been watching the weather like a hawk, and it was 95 and sunny. That was the weather report all week, and it was great. And by Thursday night, it was a 95 and partly cloudy on Saturday. And I was talking to our friend Dean about this, and all day Friday, it slowly crept to cloudy on Saturday with a 10% chance of rain. And then Saturday morning, it was, it's going to rain. It's gonna rain.
No.
And this event was outside. Like, we had these massive tents put up over our golf course, and we had all these plans, and we were going to set up in the morning what we could, then come back and finish the setup in the afternoon before the party started. And then the weather came about 10 o'clock Saturday morning. We had to start making some really hard decisions about what do we do with certain things and where do we move them? How are we going to do this if it does rain? Because if it rains, we're essentially done. And much to everyone's agreement, it managed not to rain. The evening turned out perfect. And in my 12 years of events, this might have been a crowning moment, a very high crowning achievement. Everything worked out perfectly the way it should have, and the weather could not have been better. We had a Cuban theme with food and the music and the dance. And the humidity in the air just added to it. But I swear I lost 10 pounds on Saturday by running around in that humidity.
Oh, my gosh. Sounds amazing. I heard you guys even had a professional cigar roller at the event.
We did, and that was cool, man. Antonio was amazing. We didn't sell all the cigars, so as the director of this department, I had to make sure that they found a home. So it gave me reason to order a new humidor, which will be here this week, which I'm very excited for.
Hey, and I actually have started to partake in the smoking of cigars from time to time. So if you kept any and would like to have another source to buy some from you, please keep me in mind.
I will. I know we will be in your area next week for our friend Dean's 50th birthday. In fact, I believe we are staying at Casa de Kurtzworth.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
yeah, you were. Kurtzworth Casa. So if you want to bring those down, we can even partake on and enjoy them in the humid weather.
I think we can work something out for that.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. I'm glad it went well. Well, you've done so many of these, and it's probably hard to find new ideas, exciting new ideas, new concepts. So it sounds like you really kind of took all your previous experience, added something new to it, and then just let it go.
Yeah, and then we threw a wrench into it and just decided to do it outside just to help, make people feel better about the pandemic we're living in. And that was so much fun doing that in monsoon season. But lesson learned, everyone had a good time. And in fact, Janice, my girlfriend, gave me a very big surprise. Even my parents, a very big surprise. She got my brother Tom, our EP, to come down for the weekend.
What?
Yes.
No.
Yes. And yeah,
No.
so Saturday night the party starts at 6:30, and I'm running around making sure everything's ready to go, people in the right spot, things are like internet's working, and in comes our friend Dina Nelson from State Farm, and I'm talking to someone, and she walks by, and like, God, looks like that guy looks like my brother, and like, holy shit, that's my brother, and I was like, it just totally made me lose concentration. So because I've been after Tom for years to come to one of my events just to see what I do, because I never thought he really got a good idea of what it is I did. And he got to come on Saturday night, and he thought it was very cool. He gave us a compliment. It was cool. I mean, it was really nice to have actually see what I do. And of all events, it'd be that event.
Well, I think also too, it was a nice thought for Janice to think that way and say, hey, let's have some fun and do something different, right?
Yeah, yeah, that too. And my parents were just as stunned because they didn't know he was coming, and it was a good time. It was a lot of fun, but it was growth for all of us on this over the weekend, because we had a chance to learn a lot and see what we're capable of. Because when you go into uncharted waters and you survive, even if you think you know what you're doing, you come out a little bit smarter and wiser.
Oh my gosh, are you serious? Because that is exactly what happened on my trip. We had a family vacation. It was basically Noreen, her sons, and our Noreen's grandson and me. We went to Idaho for the week, and the grandson is about 4.5 now, but he's very much. Every time we see him, you can just tell he's grown a little bit. He grows a
Mm-hmm.
little bit, which makes sense. Well, this trip we got to have him for a full week, but it wasn't at their house. It was at a totally neutral spot, so we didn't have some of the comforts of what he normally is used to, and so he had to kind of adapt to the new where we were located, a totally different place, new activities, new adventures, and even in that week you could see his development and his growth as of him as a little boy who was a little bit more attached to mom and always had to have mom around, to by the end of the trip, he didn't throw any fits when she stepped away or when we decided to take him somewhere and she did something else.
Uh-huh.
And the same kind of thing, you're like, your mind just expands. His mind was expanding, that I learned something new. I'm growing as a person. And I thought, that's like totally cool. I saw it, that when we expand our minds, however we do it, whether it's reading, experiencing something, going somewhere, talking to someone, it expands our minds.
Yeah, it's neat though. It's so much fun just to see that kind of growth in anybody, and just watching that little light go on above their head, that aha moment.
Well, and you probably can look back at the first time you did an event,
Yeah.
and the pardon me, the shit show of stress, and oh my gosh, we're gonna miss something, and trying to coordinate things when they're not working the way they're supposed to, and going through all that to now where it's you are confident enough in your skill sets to say, what, my foundation's strong enough, but I'm gonna expand out and reach for that higher branch and do something totally different.
Oh yeah. In my experience, this is what I've been really working on over the last year is actually taking a step back and letting my board make decisions and do certain things, because that's I've had a very passive foundation board where they just basically let me do what I got to do, and they say yes, no, or make any suggestions, and I just go get it done. It's been that way for the better part of a decade, and now I've got people on there that want to help, and I need to let them help, and I need to take their ideas, and that's a challenge for me because I'm used to doing it my way, and I've had to realize that if I let them help and pitch in, man, this could be even bigger and better, and it pays off.
I think that I have a similar problem in that a lot of times I'll get invited to do something, and my initial reaction is, no, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I don't feel like doing it, right? Because I don't, and I guess it must be because I just don't feel comfortable, or I just don't. I'm not immediately saying, oh, this might be a really fun activity. But then I get talked into doing it, and once I do it, it's like, oh my gosh, why would I have
Why didn't I
hesitated
do this
doing
sooner?
that?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my
Why
gosh,
didn't I
that
do this
happens to
sooner?
me
This
all
is
the
so much
time.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've started recognizing that in myself, that when I get asked to do something, uh, I'll 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 see myself saying no, and then correct myself and say no, say yes. Say
Yeah,
yes. And maybe subconsciously it's because every time I add something new to myself, my psyche, it changes me and adds more to who I am.
yeah. And that's kind of where I'm at with stuff too, because normally, and especially with the last year, like I'm not afraid of crowds anymore. And I'll be the first one to admit, like I love going into crowds, but I've gotten used to not being around a lot of people, so I don't mind not being around a lot of people anymore. I almost appreciate it more. So large group gatherings or settings, my first reaction, I was like, nah, I'm good. I don't need to do that. But once I get back in the flow, um, I feel good about it. I feel like, all right, this will be fun. This is fine. I missed this.
I as most of the listeners know, or maybe they've some eyes from some of our talks. I've made it a personal goal to read more books, right? Read more books, read more books. And I've noticed that sometimes I'll read a book that has nothing to do with my life, my relationship, my goals for making more money or doing anything else. It's just a book that interested me, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'll get one or two things out of the book that expand my mind to go, oh, that's an interesting topic. Maybe I'll go down this path and find a book on this. Same kind of thing. I don't know why our minds do that, but maybe it's the same thing. If you ever done that thing where you say, okay, you start with the word apples and you see where apples takes you in a train of thought, and
Yeah.
then see where you end up with. I
I
think
don't think
that's what our minds are doing.
I can see that. I can see where that's a good exercise. I don't necessarily go on the same
thought process that you do, but I know that when something catches my attention, I go full bore with all the research and I read into it about the history and the current and what it looks like moving forward. And I fall down a lot of rabbit holes like that all over the internet. And to me, it's a great way of expanding your knowledge. And I guess unfortunately for me, it doesn't help me with a lot because a lot of it is very obscure. So it's just random shit like Jeopardy level knowledge.
Well, I'll give you a perfect example. So on this trip, I read a book about investing, and as I'm reading the book, I'm just kind of like I'm reading the guy's little concepts. I'm thinking, this is just so stupid. Like I'm reading, it's like this doesn't make any sense to me. You're throwing out all these numbers about, oh, I can make $1 million doing this, this, and this, and it just doesn't make sense to me. And I finished the book in like 3 days because it was a pretty fast read.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave it back to Noreen's son who lent it to me, and I said I just didn't like that book. I thought it was just pointless. I mean, he made it sound so easy, like, oh, anyone can do this, this, and this, and they'll just be a multimillionaire, and I just don't believe it at all. And then about 2 days later, I remembered a couple little nuggets that he put in there that I thought, you know what, I'm going to remember that the next time I look at this stock.
Yeah.
And then I did another one. And then at the end of the week, I said, I don't agree with what he said, but I picked up 4 nuggets in that book that if I had not read that book, I wouldn't have had for taking to the next level.
Yeah. And those are
And
the willingness to learn.
yeah,
It goes
yeah,
a long way, man.
yeah.
You know,
But also the willingness to challenge your belief system.
yeah.
Like sometimes you challenge yourself and say, well, I believe A, B, and C. And then you learn from someone, or you read a book or talk to someone who makes you challenge A, B, and C. And it could impact your life.
Yeah, it's interesting when you say that because
Uh, I think you really see people grow personally when they finally stop being so hell bent and stubborn on what they believe, and start seeing that there are other sides to stories or ways to do things, and start moving in those directions, and be more open to uh, other possibilities. And I think
I think,
once you understand that, it's great. Like I heard it one time, and putting the saying, I might butcher the saying, but it says, a man is 2 lives. The first life begins when he's born. The second life begins when he realizes that he could die any day, or something like that.
yeah, I remember
So
that quote. Yeah.
yeah, so it's people just have to learn and be open to the possibilities.
Well, and when they talk about the Socrates, they say that it wasn't that he was a genius per se, but his dialogues would ask the questions in a way that would challenge your train of thought, your logic, your thinking process. And so many people have preconceived notions that if you just dive into it a little bit further, you realize you don't really believe what you're saying, or here's another thing to think about. And that was the amazing part about Socrates. And maybe that's why the Socratic method is the main method of how lawyers are taught, is you're there to challenge your belief system in a way that's constructive, not just saying, well, you're wrong because of this, this, and this. It's, so in this situation, how would this happen? And then they explain it. But yeah, but that doesn't go with, and that use of that, just challenging your thoughts and pushing them to further to the boundaries of where they could be.
Yeah, I think today's generation, for as much as they want to work less and make more, they do forget what the great Socrates, what his teachings have taught everybody for thousands of years.
Well, and I mean, I don't think that like I went to a Jesuit college, so they did a lot of philosophy as part of their core curriculum. So we got introduced to Socrates and the Greek thinkers and the Roman thinkers, and I don't know if that's part of a institutional educational core anymore, like it once was. I mean, if you're not in a philosophy type of program, like if you're in a business program at ASU, do they teach you about philosophy?
I don't think so anymore. I think they probably think it's part of critical race theory, so they're abolishing it without even thinking about it. Sorry, it's too political.
Maybe that's why kids have it easy, because in the very beginning, their mind is a sponge, right? Because they have not established what their core belief system is. So, as we were watched with Noreen's grandson, that week you could tell the amount of experience and images and knowledge that he just soaked in, and it changed him in a positive way. Not like, oh, now he's brainwashed and he's messed up. No, in a positive way, it changed. These experiences just opened his mind. And what age do we get where we stop opening that mind like that?
That's true. I mean, that's very true. It's the day you stop learning is the day you really die,
And I mean, they're like, I know that there's some people that they get to a certain age and there's no point in learning anything else. I've learned everything I need to learn. I'm just going to live the rest of my life and just kind of carry on with what got me here.
Yeah, but if you're okay with that and you don't feel like you have to improve yourself anymore because you're there, I feel sorry for you. But some people just decide that's the way their life is, and I've met people like that. And hell, I've dated women with that previously who, they were in their early 30s and they had a job they thought they wanted, and that's what they needed, and they don't need to do anything else anymore because that's just it. They don't have to ever improve themselves ever again.
Yeah, I wasted a lot of time in my 20s and 30s not pushing my mind and not pushing myself to think outside the box and challenge some of the things in my belief system. Yeah. And I'm glad I'm following your rule and saying, hey, it's never too late to start challenging, and you're never too old to finish challenging. So,
yeah, well, that's where half of the arguments start in this world, are people are challenging people's beliefs and making them explain why they believe something instead of just saying, well, I heard it on the news. Well, what about it? Did you research it? Tell me what you're thinking.
Now, the hard part, like for someone like you did such a great job with this event. Do you feel the pressure of, oh my gosh, my next event's got to be that much better?
No.
You don't feel that way. Okay.
No. I came to with what I do to the point a few years ago. It's like, you know what, I can leave it all out there, and people are going to love it or they're going to hate it, but either way, I have their money, and my job is to raise money for a charity. And if they don't give me money for this, they'll give me money for something else for the same program. So I just have to be creative and keep plugging forward. I kind of took one of your philosophies of life in my earlier days. Of 50 no's and yes is still a yes.
Yeah.
So I just keep.
Hey, some rules just stay.
So yeah,
they live throughout history, man.
They're universally applicable, just on different levels. And
yeah, exactly.
And
well, the other thing too is it kind of, you could do the next party and they're going to say, oh man, I remember the Cuban party, but this was different because of this, this, and this. And people want to do something different. A lot of people do want to do something different.
Yeah, and that's it. And like I said, we haven't done anything in a year and a half, and It's pretty funny because last year we had to cancel our black tie, because we did a formal tuxedo, ball gown dinner down in Laughlin, and that's what this was supposed to be. But all the COVID restrictions came out the week of the party, so we had to cancel it. And this is basically that party a year and a half later. We just moved it outside and kind of changed it up a little bit, and people got down for it. So that was kind of cool. So just being able to be adaptive too.
Yeah, well, and go with the flow. And we got the benefit too of, I mean, people were inside for so long that let's just get out and do something. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
I like growing. I've really enjoyed like challenging my belief system and making, slight changes and saying, what, I may not agree with everything, but maybe there's one thing I gleaned from this that I'm going to take and incorporate it into my thoughts or into my life.
Yeah, see, and I'm very selective about those arguments and those things because I know I am very stubborn, and I know that there are certain things I like a certain way, and to me, it shouldn't be negotiable. But I have to be flexible in other aspects of life to make sure that everything goes along smoothly.
I will say that in my experiences, I have very rarely ever pushed beyond my boundary. Like I was saying earlier, like I went somewhere where I didn't really want to go, but I decided to go anyways. Very rarely have I ever been, oh man, see, I wish I hadn't gone. This was a waste of my time.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I've been very fortunate that when I've expanded beyond, it was like, oh my gosh, that was such a fun experience. I'm glad I did that.
Yeah, for me, I can say the most of the things that I pushed myself to do something I wasn't comfortable with is mostly a lot of it came during my CrossFit days, just with things I didn't think my body could ever do or would ever do. Some travel here and there, and that's more of on a whim stuff. But it's we all find that in our own ways,
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm with you. I think that for most of us, you have to do it within the limits or the confines of what you feel comfortable with. And
yeah,
as long as you're expanding within those limits, I don't judge someone for saying, I just don't feel comfortable doing that. Well, then don't do that. Don't do it. That's okay. It's okay. Fine. It's not going to kill you. It's not going to kill me,
Yeah. Right.
And maybe too many people get all pissed off. Oh, well, if you're not going to do this, then, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know, blah, blah. Hey, I do my way. You do you. Okay. I do me. You do you. You do you.
I'm not, what you do doesn't change my life, so just leave it alone. What and respect what I do, and I respect what you do.
Yeah.
And that's
I'm sure that the EP has learned so much about, talk about changing his life and learning new things in a different area and going to a new place. That's a lot. He did a lot last year.
Yeah, he's been very busy, very active with that. And to his credit, man, he's done very well. He seems to enjoy it. And he's very methodical, though, too. So he knows the who, what, when, where, why, and how of what he's doing before he does it. So he just doesn't bother to tell anybody until after it's done.
Yeah, yeah. And for iDotters and T-crossers, that's harder. That's much harder. People like me go with the flow. Hey, let's try whatever. But iDotters and T-crossers, it's almost like an OCD thing for them. It's like they just do not want to go outside that comfort zone if they can all help it. And, if I have a good thing, why would I want to change that? So
yeah. And in some cases where if you don't have to really change your line of thinking or change how things go, and that's just the process, so that's how we do the process, that's good for those people.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But for the rest of us, I don't think it's supposed to be that way. And I don't think it should be that way.
What age do you think you're going to get to where the clothes that you have in the closet are just what you die with?
I don't know.
Because I find myself like constantly being aware of, Jason, there are old people that once they get to a certain age, that shirt, those pants, those shoes are not going to be replaced. And I don't know if I want to be that person.
Well, I guess I look at it as like, am I always going to be the guy that's wearing like concert shirts and Chucks or Adidas? Yeah, man, that probably will be me. Because I will openly admit now that I found the Chuck Taylor personalizations on the website. Every time Drunk Me shows up, he orders a pair.
Nice.
So, I've got plenty of shoes and for any occasion and any color. So I don't think I'll ever change styles, but some of the styles I have are just classic anyway.
Yeah, and what I don't want to do is I don't want to have a shirt that's 40 years old.
No, I don't ever want that.
And the scary part is I'm at that age now where I'm at the age now that if I were going to keep clothes for the next 40 years, I have to look at my closet right now, and I don't want to do that. I'm freaked out.
Yeah. Yeah. But, if you have these clothes for the same, then financially, I think you're hurting too, because at some point you have to just replace clothes after so many washes and the wear and tear, unless you're just, static and just sit there all day.
And I'm one of those type of people that I don't like having clutter. So when I buy a new shirt, I throw an old shirt away.
Oh, you're one of those. You're a one for one.
1 for 1. Yeah. So my closet never gets too over the top.
I am not that guy. In fact, when Janice moved in, I have a very large closet.
Yeah.
I have a very large walk-in closet. And I've been single for long enough to where my closet was full. And she made me go through and clean out a section for her, rightfully so. But I had to make that hard choice of oh God, do I want this T-shirt? Well, what if I decide I'm going to wear this T-shirt again? I know I'm not. So I have a little set of shelves in my closet. So I took one of those shelves and it's stacked 8 shirts high and shirts deep, full of just old T-shirts. And I have a bag of old shirts that is eventually someday I'll turn into a quilt. I just need to find somebody that's a quilt maker who wants to take.
That's right. Yeah. Exactly.
It's if I have to move those shirts into that pile, I'm gonna have a massive quilt, if not 2 quilts.
Well, one of the things I've always hoped about our little podcast is that every once in a while, when someone listens, they glean something from it that gives them that that's something different to think about. So I hope it happens.
I think it happens every week. I really do. I think every week Tom, our EP, gleans from this that he thinks I should shut up and you should be throat punched.
Yes, that is true. But every once in a while, they say, I'm going to throat punch. You know what? That was actually pretty good, though. That's pretty good. So
yeah,
not bad.
Yeah. So tell us, what are some things that you've learned or that have made you push your boundaries and you're excited to just share with somebody? We want to hear it. Hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, or all that Liquid Carnage. If there's something in the Denver metropolitan area that you think could get our EP to push his boundaries, he wants to hear it. He just doesn't know it yet. Hit him up on Instagram and Twitter at liquid_EP.
Wow, great episode, man. Loved it.
Yeah, it was a good time. It's a good time. Yeah. It's like putting on an old pair of shoes when you're 90 that you've had for 40 years. It just goes right back into you know what you're doing.
Wow, fits like a glove is not the right term. It should be fits like a shoe.
It fits like a chuck. Yeah, maybe you ought to say shoe because that sounds weird otherwise. Phrasing.
Yeah, fits like a chuck.
so funny story about phrasing. Since we have a little bit of time left. Since my brother surprised us, came to town over the weekend. We went to lunch Sunday before he left. My parents, my brother, my girlfriend, and I. And my mom volunteers at the hospital in the gift shop, and she's so excited to talk about it. And she goes, I love volunteering because it's like I get to go to an adult store all the time and buy stuff at a discount. And she said this in the middle of a restaurant. I just looked at her and said, phrasing, Mom. She goes, what? It's true. And I said, no, you don't go to adult stores. You go to the gift shop. She goes, it's the same thing. I said, no, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's not, Mom.
No,
it's not, Mom.
It's not. It's not.
And it's like, I don't, and she didn't care. She's past it. But it's one of those oh, fuck, Mom, come on.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Well, that being said, Jason, go ahead and take us home.
Hey, thanks for listening, everyone. Welcome back. We're glad to be here for you guys. That was Scott. I'm Jason. And as always, if you never know quite what to say, just have yourself some Liquid Carnage.